Hi, what I'm going to be discussing about is why many black women act the way they do act. But before I get into that, I just want to explain what the basic family unit consists of. You have the father, you have the mother, and you have the children. The father's role, he's the provider, he's the breadwinner, and he's the protector. He works outside the house to provide for the family. And when he does work inside the house, he typically does certain things like fix the toilet or fix the sink, and if he cannot do that, he hires someone to do that. And often he takes out the garbage, mows the lawn. He pretty much does heavy-duty chores. And then again, he protects the family, making sure that the family is safe. And then you have his wife, which is the mother of his children. What she does, she cooks and cleans in the house for the family. She raises the children, showing them love and nurturing them. And sometimes, on occasion, she works outside the house, but typically her main job is inside the house with the children and with keeping the house up. And then the children, they basically watch their parents and they learn from their parents. In the case of the father and his relationship to his children, or with his children, relationship with his children, he basically is like the number one role model for his son. If not the number one role model, he's one of the top role models of his son. He teaches his son that he needs to work. He teaches his son that he needs to go through school, and if he doesn't go to school, learn a trade. And then once he has a job, he finds him a good woman. And when he finds himself a good woman, he marries her, and he starts his family. And then he teaches his son the exact same thing that his father taught him. And also that father teaches his son to respect women. And then the father's relationship with his daughter, in many cases, he spoils his daughter. He does this because he wants to know how, basically, that she is important, that she does matter. He shows her love. He tells her how beautiful she is, and how important she is. He uplifts her as a woman because one day he hopes that his daughter finds a man as good as he is, if not better. And actually, it'll be a man finding her, and that she approves of the right man. And then we get into the mother. Her relationship with her daughter, she teaches her to cook and how to clean, and also how to care for her children. And she does this in hopes that one day, when the right man finds her, marries her, she'll teach her daughter the very same thing and nurture and care for her children in general. And the mother's relationship with her son, she shows him love, she uplifts him, and she does that in hopes of one day he will find a woman as good as her, if not better, and to start a family with after they married. This type of family unit is typical throughout America, especially traditional American societies decades ago. And black people around the 60s and 70s had the same type of family unit as well. And with black people, Black people have come such a long ways. They started off through slavery in America, and then from slavery was segregation. But during this period of time, during after slavery, black people were at their prime. Black people fit this family unit. The father was the breadwinner. The mother, she cared for the home and the children. And the kids emulated their parents. And then also on top of that, we had Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the original Black Panther. The original Black Panther actually empowered black people. They empowered black people in the sense of letting them know that they were strong, intelligent people, and that education was very, very important, and that we love who we are and where we came from. And they taught not to hate other races or ethnicities. And so we had a lot of this positive experience and influence throughout the 60s and 70s. And then again, black people were at the prime during that period of time. And black women were 4 times likely to be married than white women. However, during the late 70s and early 80s, there's a major metamorphosis that took place in the black community. During this period of time, there were a couple of immigrants from Nicaragua. These 2 individuals here came to America so that they can gain enough money to fund their armies back in Nicaragua that was fighting conflict with the government, I believe, the government. And so what they did, I think both of them, or at least one of them, actually was a notorious individual here, in that he basically sold drugs. And so what they both did, they both started going to the black communities and selling drugs. This was bad in itself, but it's even worse than that. The fact they would go to the one of the most oppressed communities, one of the hardest communities, and despite black people being at their prime, many black people were still fighting racism, segregation, and many age-old traditions from slavery. And so they came to these black communities, these vulnerable communities, and they sold drugs. Many people claim that they sold drugs in just one spot and then just spread all throughout America, but that's not true. I did see an interview where an individual from Nicaragua during that period of time who was working for the Nicaraguan army, and he stated that actually he has proof where these individuals here, these immigrants from Nicaragua, and they had other people along with them, including United States working with them and police officers and then other Nicaraguan immigrants, and they actually sold drugs and actually went to certain cities, including LA, parts of Texas, and Miami. And then that's what ultimately spread all those drugs, because they went to those different ports and they spread those drugs to various black communities. So it started from there, and that's how drugs spread, because black people during that period of time did not have the money. I'm not trying to be offensive or anything, but black people were too poor to afford airplanes and various transportation to get drugs. And furthermore, black people didn't have the knowledge of many of those countries to even branch off and bring those drugs there. That was done deliberately. That was done by people who are racist and did not want black people to feel empowered. And so they got in contact with Nicaragua. These immigrants came along to fund their armies, and that spread those drugs throughout the black community. those drugs during the crack epidemic helped separate and divide many well-established black communities across America. As a result, the father was separated from his family. In many cases, the drugs that he tried, maybe out of curiosity, and in many cases because he was still oppressed and fighting the racism that he was experiencing, and the oppression he was going through as a result of segregation, past segregation, and aspects of slavery. So when he tried these drugs, that changed him forever. Some cases he was verbally and physically abusive towards his wife. In many cases, he left his wife and family. Just to get his high on with those drugs. Also, some cases he died. Some cases he went to prison for a long time. Many cases he eventually started selling drugs. Other cases he became a pimp, he became a hustler. And as a result of him being separated from his family and ostracized from his family and society, that put the toll on black women. And this is where we start to why many black women act the way they do act. As a result of that black man not being in his wife's life, his son's life, or his daughter's life, that daughter did not have a man to look up to. There was no man to show her love, to tell her how beautiful, how valuable she was, to uplift her, to protect her, to embrace her, to kiss her, to hug her. And as a result, from childhood up to adulthood, she yearned for a man to show her love. In the case of her mother was broken because she also yearned for a man to show her love. And because she was a single parent, in some cases in the black community, she used drugs because she was so broken, and so much of the toll she had to take on. She had to be a mother by raising her children, cooking and cleaning for them, and she had to be a father in the sense that she had to work, some cases up to 3 jobs. And so when she used those drugs, in some cases she prostituted to provide for her kids. In some cases she used those drugs and she prostituted to pay for those drugs. And that separated from her children. Sometimes this caused the children to be taken into DCFS, where they were thrown from foster home to foster home. And as a result, those children were not getting the love that they should have received. And then in many cases here, those children, if their mother was not in their life and their father was not in their life, they were raised by the grandmother. Most cases, majority of the cases, is the maternal grandmother, the mom's mother, who raised those children. And although that grandmother showed them a lot of love, they still have that emptiness and avoidance because they did not have a father to love and embrace them. And the mother was just not in the picture, and if she was in the picture, it was only briefly. but for the most part, it was the mother that was raising the children. And because she was raising sons, she had to be more aggressive, because with young boys are typically more mischievous and more hard-headed and often get into risks. This is typical throughout society, throughout the world. And as a result, because she was that mother's used to having a man to discipline her son, which is her husband, discipline her son, or she recall her father discipline her brothers. She had to take that place. She had to be more aggressive, because a woman is not designed to be an aggressor. A woman is designed to be humble and submissive. But if she's having to take care of sons by herself, in many cases she's going to need to be more aggressive than if she had a husband that was there taking care of actually disciplining that son. So these black women had to be aggressive with raising these sons. And so that her daughter saw how she interacted with her brother, and saw how she had to be aggressive and scream and yell to get her point across to that young man. Because she was a woman. And again, women were not designed to be aggressive. And then on top of that, that young girl saw how her father treated her mother. If it was abusiveness, she saw how the mother had to constantly fight, how she had to scream, how she yelled, how she cried, and she saw how the little girl saw how her father basically ran off on her and was verbally abusive and was physically abusive. She saw all of this back and forth through her parents. And if her father was not in the picture, it was often the boyfriend that treated her mother this way. And in her mind, she felt this is how she should interact with men. And it's partly because of what she saw, and it's partly because there was no man around. There was not a father. There was not an uncle. No one there to show her that love. And this particular generation is what type of woman I went to school with, or women I went to school with. I went to school with a lot of girls from primary, middle school, and high school, and they had it hard. They lived in a single-parent household. They had no father there to love them, embrace them. None of that. No type of father figure. And as a result, from that childhood up to their adulthood, they yearned for a man to show them that love that they should have received. And as a result, they grow up watching their mothers, and they often treat the men that they have. A lot of times they're loud with their men and aggressive with their men, because that's how they were raised, and they didn't have a father there to embrace them. So they felt by the way their mom treated or reacted towards their man, that's how they should treat their man. And all along is that their mother was being mistreated herself. And also, no man was there to embrace this young woman. And then also here, I've talked to many young black women, and they told me some heartbreaking stories. One case, I worked with this woman. She stated that she had a hard life. She was shipped from foster home to foster home. And the reason why is because her mother at that time was on drugs. And as a result, DCFS went to the father, because if the mother ain't in the children's life, the father should be there for her. So instead of that father taking her and her siblings, he stated that he didn't want them. And as a result of him neglecting his own children, they went to DCFS. shipped from foster home to foster home. This young woman, she was beaten, molested, raped, belittled, demeaned. All of this, she went through all of this because her father was not there for her. And it's sad because me and her actually did get in a disagreement. And the argument I had with her, I had never had an argument with any woman to this extent. She was screaming at the tip top of her lungs, and it's like, the argument was just not typical. I can just feel the hurt and pain and stuff. She went through so much that she was not going to back down. She went through so much that she was determined that she was not going to lose another battle. She was determined that she was not going to be no victim and everything. Despite the situation shouldn't have gone this far. I mean, like, as far as how she talked to me, but because she went through so much, she was determined that she was not going to lose this battle. And I was mad at her for a long time because of this, but at the same time I got to thinking that I do feel sorry for her, because like if a man had showed her the right type of love and was there for her, she would not have gone through that. She would not have gone through that. She would not have acted the way she did. And then strolling through these videos here, it disappoints me because I'm seeing videos on brothers talking about the reason why they date women of other races, and most of the time white women, is because they said black women are loud and aggressive. The reason why a lot of black women are loud and aggressive is because of what they went through when they were younger. And the only reason why many white women don't go through that, and women of other races, is because most of them have had a father in their life to love them, respect them, embrace them, spoil them. That's the only reason. And all black women don't even fit this stereotype. A lot of black women do not fit this stereotype. I've seen many humble, submissive black women, but it's mostly geared towards how they were raised. And then sometimes it could be who they're hanging out with, because if they're hanging out with a crowd of young ladies who had a hard life and they had a good life, that can influence them as well. And then even though many white women don't act that way, that doesn't mean that it's non-existent, because I've seen many white women that are aggressive. And my understanding is that the reason why they're not aggressive is pretty much the same reason why, the reason why they're aggressive is the same reason why some black women are as well. And because they didn't have a father. Typically, the way I see it is this: if it doesn't matter what race or ethnicity it is, if you were raised with no father in your life, and you're a woman, you are, in many cases, you are going to be broken. You are going to be more aggressive. You are going to search for a man to finally love and respect you. And if you've seen your mother constantly fight with men that really didn't care and love her, then chances are you're going to grow up and act the same way if you don't get the healing that you need to get healed. So it's not just limited to black women. It's just that it's unfortunate that black women, out of all the women throughout the world, have gone through the most, hands down. I know many women from many different societies that have had it hard, but I have to say, I don't think none of them top what black women had to go through. And that's the only reason why white women and many other women don't act like a lot of black women. And again, this is not all black women. And just because, I want to point this out as well, just because there are many black women that are strong, independent, and seemingly aggressive, that doesn't make them a bad woman. It's just that the right man has not shown her the right type of love. There are many good black women that are actually more so, like people say, aggressive, strong-minded. There are many good black women. What I've known in this case here many times, when they're strong-minded like that, they're independent and they won't let nobody break them down, those are the people that have some of the softest hearts. Those are the people that actually would take the shirt off their back. They just need somebody there to love them, just like everybody else. And they just need to be healed. And it's not just the black women, it's the black men, and it's the black community. We need to be healed. We need to be healed. because many of us are fighting against aspects and traditions that were passed from slavery and segregation, stuff that we weren't healed from. When we were set free from segregation and slavery, we should have received counsel. We didn't get that counsel, so as a result, that passed down for generation to generation to generation. But it needs to be broken off. And then back to the black men that date women of other races. I mean, first of all, interracial marriage, whether you're a black woman that want to date outside your race or black men that want to date outside your race, I mean, generally speaking, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. That's your business. But the only reason why you should date outside your race is only for the right reason. If you find somebody of another race that have common interests and goals and that love you and respect you, that should be a good reason for you to date with them. Date them. But if you're dating inside your race, this is why I've seen in many videos for black men bashing black women. If you date outside your race because you perceive all black women to be these aggressive, dominant women, and often they say lazy women, that is wrong. You cannot go based on the stereotype. That is wrong. That is wrong. And to be honest, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Black women are twice as likely to move up the corporate ladder than a black man. This has been statistically proven. And they're twice as likely to finish college. So black women, the thing about black women being lazy, that's totally untrue. I know black women who have children, work 2 jobs, and go to school full time and still triumph. Black women are strong women. And they're strong women because ever since slavery, segregation, up to present time, they just had to be strong. And I commend black women for that. I commend that. Because you know what? Many successful men would not be here if they didn't have this strong black woman. For instance, Ben Carson. Ben Carson, you need to look him up. He's basically a world-renowned, gosh, I forgot the name. Neurologist. He was raised in a single-parent household with him and his brother. He had no father around him. But you know what? That strong black woman stayed with him and his brother. She raised, she cooked, she cleaned for them, she worked, and she always stressed to read, to educate yourself. They grew up. He grew up to be a famous neurologist, and his brother be a famous engineer. So this strong black woman, with the help from God, helped lift up and help produce a strong black man. He ended up having his family of his own, a wife and 3 sons. And you know what? I mean, even situations like, even when I look at other situations as well, like, let's see here. Other strong black men, like Jay-Z, for instance. Jay-Z had no father around him. His strong black mother raised him up. And look at him today. He's a multimillionaire. He has a family of his own. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He's a rapper. He is a strong black man is because that strong black woman stood there for him. Stood in there for him. And it's funny, like, when these brothers talk about how they want women of other races and everything. You know what? You sit up and saying that black woman's issue, but it's most of the black man that's the issue, to be honest here. It's the black man's issue because most of the black men, I can't say most, but many of the black men, I should say, many black men have left their women and they're mistreated their women. And as a result, you have these single parent households. That should tell you a lot about who the problem really is. The fact that that woman stayed there for her kids and raised her kids. That tells how much she really cared about her children and everything. So the issue is the black man, in many cases. And we as black people, we just need to heal. We need to be healed. We need to go to God about this. And we need to be unified. And again, interracial marriage, if that's something that you want to do it only for love. Don't do it because you feel that there ain't no good black women around. Because even the ones that you claim are not good black women, just because they're strong-willed, that doesn't make them bad black women. It's just that they need somebody to sit there and love them. And they need to be healed just like you need to be healed. For you thinking that having that negative stereotype in your mind that there are no good black women around, because there's plenty of good black women. I feel that black women are struggling to find good black men. Now that's the issue, if you ask me. And so basically what I want to say here, because this, I mean, a lot of time has been wasted with this. We, as black people, need to be unified. Get the healing we have, or the healing that we need, I should say, and just move on. And black woman, just stay strong, stay beautiful. Get the healing you need, just move on. And black man, we basically just need to get the healing that we need as well, and move on as well. And if we get the right type of healing and go to God, we will triumph through this. And we will see more and more black children graduating from middle school and going straight to college, or going from middle school straight to college here and getting college degrees and going to universities. We will see more of that, because if you go into YouTube and many sites, you will see a lot of black kids triumphing and actually getting those degrees at an early age. We are very intelligent people, and they need to be spread on to multiple generations and many different children. So again, black women, stay strong, stay beautiful, and be uplifted. Peace.